Ketter at the Cabin presents BOC with Ketter. Fly fishing, stories, connection. Now pour yourself a drink. All right, everyone. Welcome back to BOC with Ketter. This is season 2. We are in the middle of summer. It is hot in the Midwest. However, we are taking some time to have a fun conversation tonight. I do have another fun guest. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Troy Schmidt. I'm with Stripset Fly. I'm just based out of central Minnesota between St. Cloud and Brainerd.
Awesome. Troy and I just kind of met via social media. I believe it was TikTok a couple of years ago. I feel like we just kind of crossed paths, and then we actually got to meet each other in person at the expo this last spring. So ever since then, we've just kind of stayed in contact, and hopefully we'll get to fish sometime soon. Awesome. So Troy, how did fly fishing first enter your life?
I can say the first time it entered my life, we were fishing with worms and stuff. I watched my dad bust out a fly rod and beat up panfish like nobody's business. I knew someday I'd get into it. And then I want to say by the time I was 16 or 17 years old, I ran out of daredevils that I was throwing on the river. So I ran back to my house real fast on my bike and grabbed a fly rod and went back out to the river and started working.
That's awesome. That's a great place. I feel like everyone's kind of got that first story where they're just out catching panfish, and that kind of starts a whole life journey of something you fall in love with. So you're probably like the 10th person with that exact story, basically.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, I forgot to ask you, Troy. It is BOC with Ketter. Are you sipping on any good beverages on this hot day?
Just Mountain Dew.
Just Mountain Dew. Hey, you're beating me. I'm sipping ice cold water today.
That's good. I had my fill of lemonade a little while ago, so I figured I'd have something a little more bubbly.
There you go. Not a bad idea. Awesome. So for those of you who, don't know, what inspired you to start your own guide service?
I was catching a lot of fish on my own when I was teaching I taught myself how to fly fish, and then it started to attract people because in an area that I primarily fish, there was nobody else fly fishing. So they started asking questions about it. I started randomly, just as people would ask me, hey, how are you doing that? I'm like, here, take my rod. I'll teach you. And I quite literally started teaching strangers down at the dam how to fly fish. And then as they had success, I found out that I was enjoying teaching as much as I was catching the fish. And so I knew that I needed to start kind of pushing myself into a position where I could do that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. How many years ago did you start the service?
I became an actual business in 2024. So no, 23. So this is my third year as a business. However, I started teaching fly fishing probably 8 years ago already.
Dang. Yeah, that's impressive. And it sounds like you kind of have a niche for like helping out people that are brand new to, this sport. Is that kind of correct?
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good place I feel like if I ever were to take that route, I would want to take that route. It's just fun to watch people learn something and get them on their first fish. I'm sure you see that all the time, and I'm sure it's just a wonderful feeling to see that joy on someone's face.
It really is. That's one of the best parts about doing what I do, is just helping people get started.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like you kind of like cross that like threshold of like you probably find it almost more enjoyable to watch someone catch a fish than you personally catching a fish. I'm sure that kind of starts to come into your life.
Absolutely, it does.
That's awesome. So what would you say the biggest challenge has been just starting a business in general?
Paperwork. I mean,
The fun stuff?
Yeah, the grown-up part. Actually starting the business, keeping up on it. It's real easy to just say I'm a guide and teach as many people as you can, but the actual business side of it is the difficult part of it. But I think the consistency of having to keep up on it, it's not just you start it and you're good. You have to stay up on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you, do you have like help from other people in your life, or is it kind of a one man wrecking crew?
I get business advice through a few other guides. However, it is primarily all in.
Yeah. That's impressive. That's, not easy to do, especially when you're juggling life and family and another job on top of all that. It's a full-time job within itself, I can only imagine.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Ugh, that's crazy. So on the flip side of that, and you kind of touch base on this, what is the most rewarding part so far of owning your own guiding service?
Being a part of a lot of people's big moment, being a part of so many people's story of whether it's their first fish on the fly or the biggest fish they've ever caught or anything like that. I mean, it not even necessarily the big fish. We've made trips out of really small fish, but they're also moments and memories that'll last a lifetime. And the most rewarding part of being Stripset Fly is being a part of that moment for beginners, knowing that they got something more out of it than just, hey, we caught a bunch of fish today. Well, a lot of people caught a lot of fish today, but it's sharing that moment with them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, how'd you come up with the name?
Um, Truthfully, okay, so there's a guy. He goes with Stonefly Works. His name is Jay. He had a sticker at an expo a couple years ago that says "Your boyfriend trout sets," which is about the funniest thing to me. And at that time I was not into trout, so I was always
Yeah,
laughing about it. And then I'm like, well, if there's one thing I've had to teach everybody in my world, like when we're fly fishing, we're primarily fishing for chaos. That's how we started, where we were looking for big smallmouth, we were looking for muskies, we were looking for pike, everything that you have to strip set to hook into. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to be a guide for trout. I never expected myself to want to guide for trout, and here I am. But primarily, we chase fish that we have to strip set for. And I'm like, well, there's no better way to describe what we do than just flat out strip set when we're fly fishing. So, I
dude,
mean,
I
how many
love
times
that.
a day do I have to say it either? You know, every time we get a topwater blow up, it's strip set,
Strap,
strip set,
strap,
strip set. Yeah. Because I've had quite a
dude.
few trout guys that come out with me, and then you have to kind of beat the trout set out of them and encourage the strip set. So it helps. It helps.
Yes, that I can be an example of that. I definitely I'd say 90% of the time I'm fishing, it's 95% of the time I'm fishing, it's for trout. And yeah, you get in that mindset like, okay, I'm gonna be trout set, I'm gonna trout set, I'm gonna do any kind of like that world, and then it's like, okay, I got a strip set now, and I rarely will be doing that unless I'm throwing streamers and stuff. So yeah, when I go and do other stuff, it's like you really got to tell yourself like, it's here, it's here, it's hard.
Yep.
It's
Well, a nice
definitely
part is
something that.
yeah,
Go
it's
ahead.
on the shirt, it's on the hat, it's on the boat. So it's like as people are around, they're going to see it consistently and go, "Well, what does that mean?" Great, great question because we're going to have to beat it into you all day long. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's important.
it is important. So I guess on that note, do you prefer chasing the chaos fish over the trout?
I'm finding myself more and more in the last year
Hmm.
really enjoying trout because it's something new and there's things I'm still learning about it. So I enjoy
Yeah,
knowledge. I enjoy learning
yeah,
about it. If I'm doing my own fishing, most of the time, I'm trying to chase the chaos at the end of the fly line, but more and more, I'm finding enjoyment in the little trout.
yeah. Yeah, they are. They're a whole different world, and yeah, it can be incredible that you can go out and chase a 35-inch pike, and then 2 hours later you could be hooking into 8-inch brookies, and it's just an entirely different world. But at the same time, super fun. I seen that pike you caught a couple days ago. That was a dandy.
That was incredible. I've been trying to get that pike for quite some time, and I finally got it to commit
Yeah.
and actually stayed hooked. I had to net it completely by myself, so that's why the
Oof.
picture looked all jacked up when I was trying to take a goofy selfie, but I managed.
It looked
Yeah.
good. Looked good to me. That looked like some professional photo work. Looked good. How did you get a measurement on it?
No, but it was definitely over 30.
Yeah, that was a pig. That was beautiful. I love northern pike. I think they're one of the greatest fish out there too, and I think they get a bit of a bad reputation, and I never understood that. So I got nothing but respect for that fish.
I like them
Awesome.
because
So
anytime you're trying to catch them, if you're looking for a muskie, you'll find a pike. So, pike was one thing where I decided to tell myself, hey, I've caught plenty of smallmouth. I want something with teeth. So I learned how to tie a bunny leash. And then I went back
yeah,
out. My first couple pike on the fly. I'm like, all right, we're going to do this more.
yeah, yep. Yeah, that's kind of how it was for me. I was about 2 summers ago. I got into pike, and I was like, yeah, I could see me really leaning into this. This is fun, and it's such an adjustment from going from like a 3 weight to an 8 weight. It's like, all right, this is gonna take a little time. But it's all fun, all fun. So for those who, haven't met you, who are you outside of being a fishing guide?
First and foremost, I would say that I'm a family man. I'm a child of God. I focus on making sure that I'm leading my children in the right direction. Um, Outside of fishing, I'm dad first. After that, I worry about Troy. But everything that I do primarily involves fly fishing. However, I do a lot of things like archery. I mean, if it's outside, I do it.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can tell you.
That's awesome. So you've been pretty, open about your faith. Can you tell us a little bit more about that journey?
Yeah, I was actually saved in a trout stream down south. Kind of hit a low in the world, and a woman asked me to go out fishing with her, so I took her. And in a trout stream that was filled, and I'm talking filled with brown trout. I've caught enough brown trout in there that I would not have expected a rainbow where I found it. And man, I couldn't find a fish to save my life that day, but I found one rainbow trout. And I was asking her, I was like, oh, she's like, oh, do you know what this means? I'm like, I don't know. She was preaching the word. She was preaching the good news to me for 3 hours in that stream, and I was just fighting it. And I caught this rainbow trout, and I'm like, oh, this is incredible. And she goes, you know what that means? I'm like, oh, I guess not. She's like, well, the rainbow was God's covenant to Noah that the storm was over. After I caught that rainbow trout, I released it. I let God in my heart, and my life was changed after that. That's where I became faithful, was 2 years ago in a trout stream.
It's an incredible story, Troy. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It's there's something special about the outdoors, and it can change your life, and you just don't know until you're in those moments. It's very very moving.
Yeah,
Yeah. On that note, do you think God meets different people like differently through the outdoors? Do you think that's like a natural connection?
absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
have
would agree.
I have had more conversations about faith on the water than I have indoors. I have people that reach out to me to do Bible studies on the water.
Mhm.
If anybody's struggling with stuff, we find ourselves on my boat or in a trout room somewhere. Speaking of faith, nobody's more open than a guy if he's at the barber shop, right? If you're at the barber shop, everybody's talking about everything under the sun. But a lot of people find themselves more open when you're outdoors. There's a reason for
Mhm.
that. I mean, I do believe that we're connected outside.
I would agree with you. I would agree 100%. Yeah, there's just something about being in the creation and being out there and enjoying it that just it takes you different places. I've had a similar experience with that too. Just recently where I was just out fishing, and this was just a couple months ago, and it was just one of those places in life where you got a lot going on in your head, and you're just like you can just feel the weight of the world. And I was out fishing. It was just a normal day. Caught one brown trout and just kind of dropped to my knees and was like, I needed that. And I just felt such a wave of emotions and everything. And I was like, all right, I released that fish. And I still probably had 2 hours to fish, but I was like, I don't need to. I'm going to walk back to my Jeep. I'm going to go home. I feel good. I feel ready to go and just, take on the rest of life. And yeah, it's incredible.
It really is. Yeah,
Yeah, it's cool to hear people like open up and share those stories too. And then there's a lot of times where I'm out on the river with buddies too, and we'll talk about stuff that, like you said, like we would never talk about this any other places. But something about being out on the water, it just kind of brings out that conversation.
absolutely, it does.
So, is there a Bible verse or like a passage that kind of comes to your mind when you're standing in the water or sitting on the boat, just looking around, anything like that?
I'm glad you brought that up because it's something I heard a couple years ago, and that I could read it every day and never get sick of it. It's Psalm 19:1, and it's the sky proclaims the work of His hands. So when you are outdoors, when you are out in that trout stream, look up. Look at God. He's all around us. You're able to look at that sky no matter if you're like, oh, it's gray. Well, you can find the light in the gray sky because all of a sudden you got overcast and you're throwing streamers, right? But you never seen a prettier sunset than when you're in a trout stream. You've never, Psalms 19:1. It just gets me worked up when I'm outside.
Perfect. Do you have it like tattooed or anything like that, or just it's right here in the brain?
No, but I could definitely see it happening. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's never going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'll have to check that one out. I thought about that question today when I was kind of going through our questions and stuff, and I was like, I gotta find one. So that might be a good one for me to store away as well.
It's a
And
good way to
and
remind yourself that we're in His creation. When you're outside, I mean, it's all Him. It's all Him.
yeah, exactly. And it's a good reminder to tell you to slow down too, and then just enjoy
Absolutely.
being out there. I mean, I'm one of those people who I get very excited when I'm outside, doing the things I love, and it's like sometimes you just gotta take a step back, and you gotta, super cliche, but you gotta take time to smell the flowers, right? You just gotta breathe it all in, take it all in, and just take it for what it's worth.